me.
Oh.
Is for the only one.
Just one.
I see.
That's me.
V is very, very extraordinary. E.
We're doing this whole song, huh?
Is even more than anyone that you adore.
Wow.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody.
I got gritty there.
Welcome to the podcast, Tim.
Thanks. You already welcomed me before, though.
I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah? Why?
Because Valentine's Day is just around the corner.
So why are you glad I'm here?
Well, because I'd like to start a tradition called Palentine's Day. It's not derivative of any holidays or offshoot holidays I've ever heard of. Just for pals.
Just you and me, bud.
Just for pals hang out.
Mm-hmm.
We can tell our wives. We got plans February 14th? 12th? When's Valentine's Day?
It's the 14th.
I got Palentine's Day plans.
We're like the anti-vaxxers of Valentine's Day. We don't do it. We just say no, that's for somebody else. I'm okay with it.
In the Wyckoff house.
Yeah, no, we have both kind of agreed this is not like a thing. But then for our girls, it's like, well,
yeah, you gotta do something fun.
I know I'm kind of a sucker for that.
Yeah.
So I'm not just a total jerk.
How do you feel about the little conversation candy hearts?
Conversation?
That's
like,
what they're called.
Hug me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. They're fine.
I like them.
Oh, you actually like
I like to eat them.
Well, there's different brands. You
gotta go Brock's.
Brock's, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some brands that are they're almost like a little spicy.
Yeah.
They're harder.
Right.
They don't like melt in your mouth the same way. I don't like them.
It's interesting that there's holidays that have a candy that's like an obligation. And the conversation hearts for Valentine's Day, nobody's like, I like them. I've said it once and I'll say it again.
I like candy corn.
But the candy corn's another one. It's like, no kid out there is like, what my favorite part of Halloween is all the candy corn I eat.
Some kid, there's a kid out there.
And there's not many is what I'm getting at though. They're looking for Reese's, they're looking for Twix. Chocolates are they're the preferred Valentine's Day. But for some reason, some of these holidays get you have to have this candy available and out.
Well, candy corn's not going anywhere. They've got the candy corner on the market.
We're not even deep in the podcast and he's firing like that, folks. Woo. Buckle up.
Woo.
Yeah, what kind of big candy negotiator got this deal signed that's like, hey, we'll just be, you don't have to make us the focal point of this holiday, but we're going to be around forever around the holiday. It's like a candy that always gets invited to the party.
Conversation hearts.
Conversation hearts and candy corn. We're going to have a conversation here today. Welcome to the Bible's Funny Podcast. My name is Anthony Russo. This is Tim Wyckoff. Today we're going to talk about a Christian movie. Christian movies are films that are faith-based. And faith-based.
You can say it like that.
Today we are watching a Christian romance movie. It's called Old Fashioned. Called Old Fashioned. Came out in 2014. This was sent in by a fan who wanted us to watch this.
Did the fan see the movie first? Do we have
I'm not sure. A lot of the fans point out that their joy in sending a movie is that you have to watch it. That's really the delight that it brings them. And some of them even note that they care. They're like, this one's not that long, so Tim he'll be okay to get through this one. So the fans are thinking about you,
and
Tim.
yet they still send them in.
Oh, they send them.
I don't think have we had a good one that someone sent in?
Oh yeah.
No, like an actual.
Oh my gosh, harder to figure out which ones weren't good.
Get out of here.
Yes, me.
Thanks y'all. Thanks for looking out for me.
Appreciate all of your suggestions. Keep those coming. Tim, let's dive into this, though. Let's tell the people we have consumed this movie separately. Today we're going to discuss it together with our friends. And tell us what we need to know about Old Fashioned.
Well, this cringe movie is... Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say the word cringe meaningfully?
Whoops.
That's a slip. Loved it. All right, this movie was released in 2014.
Hold on, wait, before you go any further. There's no way that it was written, produced, directed, and starring the same person.
Actually, it was.
Ah,
I know,
man.
and not only starring, but the lead character.
Go-getters.
Same guy. Yeah,
Ambitious.
Go-getter. Maybe hit the brake, getter. don't get her. This is written, produced, and directed. Oh, this is the quadruple. Written, produced, and directed, and starring.
Oh, yeah.
Rick Schwartzwelder, which has to be a fake name.
I love that name.
Great name. He stars as Clay, the main dude.
Yeah.
Who's in control. Elizabeth Roberts as Amber. Lejon Woods as David, his buddy. Tyler Hollinger as Brad. Nina Hedges. I usually name what else they're in.
Yeah.
They're not really in. They're not really. Nobody's in anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that are in, they were in General Hospital, like the old guy George. Joseph Bonamico as George. He was in some old shows in the 80s.
Okay.
And then kind of goes on hiatus for 30 years and then comes right back and
take this for what it's worth. That's shocking to me.
That
they were only in. This felt like a cast that had been in some other stuff.
Yeah,
personally,
no. I mean, they've been in other stuff. Nobody's ever heard of it.
Nobody's heard of the other stuff.
Yeah,
but they were working actors. Yeah.
Ish. Yeah.
They have other stuff on IMDb.
They do.
Yeah. It felt to me like it was a movie where they were not. This guy wasn't teaching Sunday school, and they were like, "No, you should be the bus driver."
No, yeah, you're right. They have definitely done work. They have been out there. It's fine.
Respect.
Dorothy Silver stars as Aunt Zella. And this whole film, I did a little kind of be looking at stuff. Filmed in New Philadelphia, Ohio. I think. I know.
There's a city called.
Yeah. Oh, I knew about the city. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's not big.
What? How mad are you at Philadelphia to go start a whole city named New Philadelphia?
Well, and not make it very grand. I mean, New York was like, watch this.
Sure. There's something cool. Maybe, and that was the thing. And then you didn't hear it when you said it. New York. It punches you right when you say it. New Philadelphia!
And we're going to put it in Ohio. Well, all right. I mean, if a Philadelphia can survive in Pennsylvania, then maybe a new Philadelphia can survive in Ohio.
Do you like Allen Iverson? You like Rocky? You're going to love this.
Yeah, that's kind of that's it. That's what we got here.
You ever had a New Philadelphia cheese stick?
I haven't.
It's a cheese stick. We say it quick to try to sneak it. Well, but they put the cheese
stick on the cheese steak. That's what's so new about it. You just peel it, string it on there.
I am so tickled by naming a city New Philadelphia.
I hope the whole podcast goes like this.
Okay, New Philadelphia. Where Old Fashioned was, okay, carry on. Sorry, I was distracted.
Likely filmed, as far as I can tell. Because at one point they had a scene like "Welcome to Our City" or something.
Oh, okay.
And so I did a little research.
You're always working for the viewers. I love that.
This is for you all, and you repay me by giving me these crappy movies to watch.
Do you want to give us a summary? Let us know. This is our little teaser at the beginning before we jump in.
IMDb, their synopsis says. A reformed frat boy opens an antique store in a college town and falls for the free-spirited girl who moves into the apartment above his shop. In time, this unlikely pair fall into a traditional courtship.
Okay. Some factual inaccuracies. Like just baseline lies in the summary. But I'm okay with it.
Well, she moved into the apartment above the shop.
He didn't start it.
Moves into the apartment above his shop.
It says he started an antique. He didn't start it.
Where a boy opened. Oh yeah, you're right. I think man, he opened it that morning. Unlocked it. We're open. No. There are.
The person who wrote the summary watched the movie on 2 times speed and was like,
And to say traditional courtship is like, how far back are we going for traditional? Are we going to the 1600s?
Honestly, right. Gosh, so much to unpack. Okay. Let's jump in.
I'm kind of looking forward to your take on this.
Okay. Here's what we do here on the Bible is Funny podcast. Christian movies are funny. We consume the Christian movies, and then we discuss them here together.
Blah, blah, blah.
We do not like to be overly critical for critical's sake. We think people should make things out here in this world. Mm-hmm. We do value collaboration. We've shouted that out a couple times. You know, it's always good to get insights, other perspectives, have people contribute meaningfully to the project. That's neither here nor there necessarily. Hey, make your thing, tell your story, create your art in the world, and then set it out there for us to consume so that we can do that. And then we don't have to think about things like our feelings, because that's... Nobody wants that. We would like entertainment candy to chew on, please. So thank you. So back to us. I'm going to do a synopsis that's going to contain some spoilers. The movie came out in 2014, over 10 years ago. Yeah, it's crazy. So
no, I just want to add on to what you said. We don't want to be overly critical.
No,
we want to be appropriately critical.
We're going to be honest. We value honesty here.
We sure do.
We always have and we always will.
We're going to let you know it.
So that's another thing we stand for. I'm going to do a kind of a deep dive summary where I'm going to give you some spoilers. If you would like to watch the movie so that you can participate in the conversation as someone who has seen the movie, you may do that now. It's free on Tubi. Put the link in the show notes. If you already saw it, you just want the refresher, you just stick around. If you want to go watch it before you listen to the rest of the podcast, I'll give you the chance to do that right now. Thank you for leaving so quietly and not making a scene so that everybody else can participate. And we're back. So they watched the whole movie and they're back now, and they can't believe that ending.
If you watch the whole movie and you want to stick around to relive that trauma,
we're trauma bonded.
You are something else.
We are trauma bonded. Okay. Old-fashioned synopsis.
Let's hear it.
Excuse me. The girls may have gone wild while he was recording them in college, but these days Clay lives a tame life. After taking over the family antique shop from his aunt and the ghost of his uncle, Clay has become a man of morals. Not like biblical morals. He can't even be bothered to go to church ever. Just like morals that you sort of make up yourself and you ruthlessly hold everyone else accountable to. Simple things that the modern man has just stopped doing. Things like kicking women out of their homes and sending them out into the cold, not inviting your girlfriend to be your date to your best friend's wedding, and forcing a woman with a broken hand to catch things you throw at her from across the grocery store. Just when Clay thinks he might spend his whole life alone, the new girl in town, Amber, falls for his reliably weird ways and his sad John Foreman aesthetic.
So true.
The two fall in love as they confuse dates for errands they have to run, ask intrusive questions, and discover that Amber has a thing for guys who are controlling. In the end, when the world just saw a man full of bitters, Amber saw the opportunity to add love, bourbon, ice, and simple syrup to make herself an old-fashioned. So cute.
Oh, so cute. So cute.
So cute.
God bless.
Okay, Tim.
This movie was 2 hours long.
What? Talking to you.
And I felt every minute of it.
Yeah, it was. Tim knows. We've talked. I have a meter that goes off. They talk about quarterbacks in the pocket, how they sort of know when the pocket's collapsing. Mm-hmm. I have that with movies at 90 minutes. I'm throwing the ball out of bounds. The play is over for me. I don't care who might get open later. The play is over for me at 90 minutes, but I stuck it out, as did Tim. So let's get into it. What was What was shocking to you, Tim, about this movie?
At first, the shocking thing, the most shocking thing for a long time, because there wasn't anything, was the most shocking thing I wrote down was that there's a guy named Clay who works with wood. Wow. Kind of like how there's a character named Woody from Toy Story, and he's made of plastic and cloth. Yeah. So, whoa, very shocking.
Yeah.
And that was...
Elements.
That was until the end. when until the very end of the movie, that was in the lead until the end. Okay. When they literally recreated the book. I don't know if you caught this. This movie is I Kiss Dating Goodbye. It's extra. Oh. And they recreated the book cover. I don't know if you caught this.
With the hat.
But the dude with the top hat,
they did.
In the grocery store, and it was so gross.
I missed that, and you're so right.
It's like the same hat even.
It is.
It's really gross. And even like the dude from Joshua Harris, the guy who wrote I Kiss Dating Goodbye, said, nah. Yeah. I was wrong. I got this off. And then this guy was like, you know what? I'm going to double down on your thing that you self-admitted was bad.
So interesting. The hat was a really curious little side story to me, and now that really makes it make a lot more sense. I missed that. What was something that was shocking to me was his best friend's relational arc was like really interesting, and I wanted to be like him. Right? Like, I think the movie like this, you're typically showing that like your main character's got these morals that they're standing for, and the other people are messing their lives up. Mm-hmm. But this best friend had this like very, very like cool relationship with his partner.
Oh yeah,
he had a kid with, and then he proposes to her.
You're talking about David,
mm-hmm. and they discuss what this means to both of them, and sure, we met in college, and we kind of got here a different way, but I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my... And I was like, oh man, how are they going to twist this to like ruin this couple?
Right.
Because that's typically how this goes. But they don't. They get married, and then it's cool. They invite everybody to the wedding. Their whole relationship is very much bringing together their community. It's very inviting. It's very cool looking. And I kept waiting for when this movie was going to tell me that was bad, and it never did. So when I watched the movie, I was like, oh, that's who I would want to be like. Is those two.
Yeah. So when you don't see that character arc with the main character who still stays on his weird controlling ways, you're like, but the normal ones, the okay ones are right there. The healthy ones.
They're right there.
They're right there. Why don't we can we point at them a little bit more?
Maybe the camera just shifts and we have a really cool love story going on here between this couple.
Right.
And they're helping their friend. Like,
right.
It was great. I don't know. It was just shocking to me that I think rarely in a romance genre movie, you're like, yeah, the main character romance story was not great, but there was actually another one that was really, maybe not since that 70s show when you're a little bit more into Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis than you're supposed to be into like the main, that kind of energy where you're like, actually the main two are whatever.
Yeah.
There's an interesting one over here on the side. That's that's the one I'm
right.
For.
Yeah. When you write a film, like you write a script like this with a pretty, and I think intentional agenda that you're trying to get after, about, like really about purity culture, and I think I'm with you that there was this shock that they also wrote this other couple in here, who would have been considered like. Maybe almost the opposite.
They did it wrong.
Yeah. And like premise. Kind of villainized for that. But they're not.
But they never
did.
They're
totally normal, and they're trying to hold these two things as kind of normal and okay, and they're very opposing.
Weirdly, and maybe to their credit, they never villainized the other couple.
Right.
And so I don't know if that was. I have to assume just based on what I was given to consume. Anyway, that just was shocking to me.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Now let's go character you want to see less of.
Clay.
Yeah.
Just
all caps.
So much Clay.
All caps.
All of Clay. You know what I like kind of put together, and I don't know if you'll think this, but Rick or Clay, whoever you want to call him, is just like that Donald James Parker guy from the
old guy.
Yeah, the old guy from Best Friends Recycled. Like we've had a couple of him where he again writes, directs, produces, casts himself as this kind of holier than thou role, and like every bit of morality that he I assume personally has makes its way into the film.
Right.
And then, what do you know? That guy's the hero of all this. Like. And he kind of looks like him too, and he's not great on camera. No offense. There's plenty of other stuff you should take offense to, but like, it's just maybe not your gift. But yeah, it was just so weird. I mean, the dude is controlling. He's weird and pious just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
the question of what's an ideal honeymoon for you, and he answers a cabin in the woods, case of bottled water, and it goes on to like describe making furniture or something, and you're like, dude, what the? No, but that's not a real person.
That was the worst of the worst.
I agree.
Everything with Clay, the behavior was weird. The character was written weird, and then he was like very flat in the delivery of everything. Mm-hmm. This is what I thought was interesting, though, because I want to shout out stuff worth shouting out. I feel like Clay, 2 of the 5 roles he played on this film, I think he might be okay at. Like, it was shot pretty well. The other actors' performances were pretty good.
Right.
It's almost like...
Everything with the 2 of them when they were interacting, like, why would she like him?
No reason.
Except for what you said about her being attracted to controlling men.
That's the only thing.
But that's never addressed. Like, hey, he's messed up and she likes him because of that because she's broken too. Like, that would make a realistic love story.
Gosh.
Like, what the heck is wrong with these 2 people that they come together, and then how do we grow? How do we kind of sharpen each other in this process? But that was not the point of the movie.
You want like a little bit of like the Twilightness of it. You want the Edward and Bella, like, I want to eat you but I can't, but I want to eat you but I can't. And it did not ever seem like Clay was actually interested in Amber.
No.
Like, really?
No.
Except for the words he was delivering like this when he talked to her.
Right.
I was like,
this dude's been through some
stuff. Where are you right now? Mm-hmm. And it was tough. It was tough.
I assume, was that your answer too?
I said, in all caps. I just wrote Clay. It was tough, all of it. I don't know. Then you have the Amber was pretty solid. His aunt was, I'll talk about later, pretty solid. Yeah. Like, you had a lot of people giving a lot around him.
Yes.
And he was just, okay. Character you want to see more of in the film.
Okay.
Old fashioned.
Hear me out. Is Brad. And is Brad when he's
the shock jock?
Yeah. Okay. But it's Brad when he's being their friend. When he's like being the buddy, being the friend. He's like super likable and funny. He reminded me a lot of Kieran Culkin. He's a really good cast member. Like, I thought he nailed his role. I would watch him in a whole flick for maybe 2 hours. He was really good. His like alter ego as the radio shock jock was terrible. And was a terrible person, and he lived it up, and you didn't want anything to do with that character.
Right. Real gross.
He was obviously awful and gross and misogynistic and in his own way versus Clay's way. But that was awful. But Clay or Brad as a friend,
as a buddy,
I dug him. I thought he was fun.
No arguments. I thought that character was again like just interesting in the way of like, oh, that guy looks like there's a journey I would be interested in following him on.
Yeah.
You know, there's been movies made about the shock jock who falls in love with someone and wants to like that. Yeah. His movie's teed up. Yeah. It was Gerard Butler.
Oh, that's a real thing.
And somebody else. Character I wanted to see more of was the furniture delivery guy. George. Mm-hmm. George would bring destroyed furniture to Clay, and they would yuck it up. George was, I think, dyeing his hair, and his roots had grown out, and that was odd for me. It took me a minute to take in. Yeah. Like the bottom, like his hair from like here down was.
Old guys do different things.
Gray roots were growing in, which I just thought.
Yeah, if you grew yours out, it might look a little different.
It wouldn't look good at all. It would be very George Costanza, but. Furniture delivery guy, highlight for me, he just is great. He's always like just real buddy with everybody. He's kind of a flirty guy everywhere he goes. And then Clay asks him how he knew his wife was the one, and he sort of expounds for like a minute and a half on how he like accidentally ended up married for 36 years.
I know, and I thought that was well written.
I liked it. I was like, he goes, yeah, I was going to break up with her, but then, it was her birthday, so I didn't do it then. And then, of course, senior homecoming was right after that, and then couldn't do it then.
Her mom got sick.
Her mom got sick. I was leaving for the army. So, 36 years later. And then there's no button. There's no wow, I really accidentally fell into the love of my life. He just ends it there.
No. No, maybe that's the theme of all of these stories is you don't actually get any resolution to like who these characters are in their relationships.
Yeah.
Like there's no kind of happy ending there. It's just everybody still sucks.
And maybe that's sort of the secret to staying married that people don't talk about is you should just always have at the ready a reason why you can't not be married right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Always have the next thing. I don't know. It's almost Valentine's Day. I'm not going to ruin my relationship right now. I got St. Patty's Day behind that. Easter's coming up. And if you have that.
Pet rabbit died.
Ready. You always have an excuse why you can't do it. You'll stay married your whole life.
Yeah.
That's stuff they don't teach you in I Kissed Dating Goodbye.
No. My honorable mention there was Aunt Zella, but I'm sure we'll talk about her more because she...
I have her.
Okay.
I have
all
her
right. That's fine. I figured Aunt Zella was like... I would want to hang out with her.
She was great.
Probably after I hang out with Brad to kind of get myself
level back out.
To earth a little bit.
Character that... gosh. Sidebar, quickly. They recently released... So the shtick here, we've alluded to a bunch of times. Brad and Clay, and I think their buddy David was somehow involved, but maybe not, in making a video series when they were in college that was akin to Girls Gone Wild. And this hit me when I was on the couch the other day. They were like... Because there's like a documentary out right now about what was going on behind the scenes of Girls Gone Wild. And they're like, you're not going to believe that it was not cool what was going on behind the scenes of Girls Gone Wild.
What?
And I was watching it with Rachel. Like, gosh, I'm like... I thought we all were of the same mind that whatever the heck was going on was not ever good.
Right.
So I don't know that I think the documentary would just kind of confirm my suspicions that this was never like good choices weren't being made by anybody.
Right.
Sorry, that was a side note. Anyway, this is a new question we've added. Character that reminded you of me and a character that reminded me of you. What do you got?
There was one particular moment with one particular character, and that was when Amber is driving across the river to get into Ohio. And she sticks out her head from the car and it's just like, woo! And she's playing the radio so loud and she's singing along with it. She's just excited about everything. That reminded me of you so much.
Yeah.
That because you get excited about stuff that I'm like, this is why?
I'll take that.
Why are you happy about this?
Yeah.
Like, she's happy to go to Ohio.
She's... Until she runs out of gas.
She's thrilled to get to Ohio.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of our listeners live in Ohio. Are you that excited to be in Ohio? You know there are other states
Beautiful
that you could
country.
go to.
They just won the national championship up there.
Sure. But you could go somewhere else, and if you knew that was really an option, you'd probably really think about it. Am I right? It's Ohio.
I received that. I honestly was Amber reminded me of myself at one point. She has a glass jar on her fridge and she points to it and she unpacks a deep secret with Clay where she's like, I know when that's full that I have enough money to leave and start a new life somewhere. And they do a cut of it and it's a lot of ones. And I just thought, that's a system I would come up with and then be really disappointed one day when I'm trying to make an emotional exit. And I'm like, I got $60 in here? I can't go anywhere. I just
can't even get out of Ohio.
All these ones. Why didn't I have a better system than just a weird jar? To actually have a sense of how much money I actually had.
Yeah, that does remind me of you too.
Character that reminded me of you was, and I think this should be a compliment, it is the character I wanted to see more of. It was the furniture delivery guy. I just thought, charming guy, shows up, everybody seems to like him, he sort of lightens the mood everywhere he goes, gives advice and helps people out.
And rather superfluous.
And kind of just like, even is like, yeah, take this love seat. It'll be great. You'll do a great job with it. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, he totally rebuilds this old car he bought, and then you see at the end of the movie, like he's actually like seems to be far handier to me than Clay is. But he kind of is like, I don't want to work on this. Clay, you should redo this love seat. It's great. So you got to remind me.
All right,
he's funny.
I accept.
Low point in the movie.
Oh my gosh, the marriage boot camp that Clay made Amber go through.
What in the world?
Like so gross that like he gives her like this. There's this like book. He like makes them pretend like they're getting married. And then, because he has kissed dating goodbye, he's not dating anyone. I know we alluded to this, but like he doesn't let her, like she lives in the apartment above his shop. Like she found her way there and he offered her the apartment. She lives there, but then when she's like, hey, this thing's broken, he goes to fix it. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, I won't be... Oh, his line, I even wrote it down, was like, I made a promise to never be alone with a woman that's not my wife. And she's like, oh, okay, does your wife live downstairs too? And he's like, oh, no, I'm not married. She's like, okay, so you have a fiance? No. Dating? No. You have a girlfriend? No. Nothing? Anyone you live with? No. And so he's like made this like holier than thou promise to some entity himself that he would never be in a room with another woman.
Right.
That wasn't his wife. Do you plan on getting a wife if you keep up with this? I don't know. Didn't work for me. Then I tried. He's so sincere about this that he is actually rude. Like he's so very incredibly rude to this woman. And he goes up to her apartment to fix this thing, and it's like middle of winter or whatever it's cold.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, I gotta go in there to fix it. You gotta get out. Like you gotta hang out. Stand on the porch and watch me. What?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. This is not
that's real
respectful. Like, no, you just kicked her out of her own place that she's paying for.
Living quarters.
Just to fix the thing because of your made up morality. Anyway, so he does that all the time, and it's like over and over.
Yeah.
So then the marriage boot camp comes in, and he's like, okay, we're gonna pretend like we're getting married, but we're not. So I'm gonna take you. He goes to the church or whatever and gets the book about like the premarital counseling book, and then they go through it together, and they're asking each other these like marriage questions. And if I was her, I'd be like, bro, you won't even be in the same room as me. No, we're not. I'm not playing this game with you. You're too needy. You're too much. I'm out. And also, you show no interest in me. Anyway,
right.
I'm gonna stop there and just say that was my low point.
The marriage boot camp was horrible. Mm-hmm. He, at one point, makes her do parenting things. He makes her feed a baby.
Yeah, like, their friend's baby.
Like,
hey, we're going to go, I want to watch her feed the baby and make sure she does it right.
And here's what's crazy, is everyone in the film calls him crazy. Mm-hmm. They go to this premarital pastor, and he's like, you're not engaged? Mm-hmm. You just met, is what he says. We just met. And again, film tells us you're supposed to view him. He was just being called crazy. She goes to their friend's house, their best friend we were talking about earlier, and they're like, "What was he?" She's like, "What was he like before all this?" And the friend's like, "Honestly, he was like a lot more fun and cool, and he sucks now." So that's him. Like everyone treats him as crazy. It's so bizarre, and his depths of how cringe and crazy he is so deep. Like she says, she has a broken hand the whole movie. She says this guy I was dating didn't want me to wear nail polish, so he broke my hand because I wore nail polish. Like, oh my gosh, what a horrible, traumatic, abusive relationship you were in. That's disgusting. Whatever. At the end of the movie, even when it's supposed to like get cute, he sends her to get clear nail polish, like at the salon. It's like, oh, that's so yucky, dude. Like, that's you making choices for her and making her like get back into that space is like, oh, that's so yucky. My low point was him describing his perfect honeymoon, which you alluded to. Just like, this is what I wrote down. What I do when we watch these is I write notes while I'm watching the movie. I'll do like timestamps and things like that. And I want to give you a little glimpse into how I felt in the moment. I want to see if I can find it. I should have had it flagged, and I didn't. But I can find it here in just 1 second.
Okay.
Hold on.
We're waiting.
Okay. It says, this is the bullet point. It's at 32 minutes in the film he does it. And I put, ideal honeymoon, dash, gag, vomit, die, resurrect, die again. That was my feelings. It was the most disgusting, weirdo, psychopath, red flag series of dialogue I've ever heard in my life. From I want to be alone in a cabin in the woods. Is like, one, that's the weird place to start. Like, talk about the beauty of nature. Talk about, I want to be outside. I want to go on hikes. I want to do, there's a lot of ways to describe a honeymoon. That's out in the woods. That sounds fun. I want to be alone in a cabin in the woods with a case of water and nothing else. Is like, you are a psychopath.
And she had even mentioned it earlier that, like, she had been in a relationship where she was married and that husband showed more interest in watching what was on TV at their hotel on their honeymoon than being interested in her.
Right.
And this is happening again to her.
He's so hard to like the entire movie.
I might say impossible.
Oh, yeah, but the honeymoon one was the low. And even his best friend, again, everyone responding to him like we all would be. Like, the best friend's like, okay, shut up. Stop talking. You're ruining this for everybody. In the movie, that happens around the 32-minute mark. Give me a high point.
High point for me was a funny moment, and it was where the basketball scene was like really hashing it out, and it's raining out there, and he's dribbling the ball in the puddles in the rain, and he's just mad and really wrestling with God or whatever entity has entered his soul, and he's chucking the basketball. His whole like way of getting it out is just chuck the basketball up against the backboard, and have it come back to him. And he does it again. He dribbles harder, and then he does it again.
Yeah.
It's just so comic. It was funny. It was like watching Michael Scott shoot free throws in the rain. It was so dumb.
I had noted the same scene because I just was like, what a non-satisfying thing. Like, chuck a thing against a wall.
And break it.
Break something. A basketball backboard is a relatively small target, so it's actually going to take some aim to, like, get this right and get it to, and then it's going to bounce at a weird, I had flagged the same scene. But my high point was Clay's aunt, Zella. Wow. She was dynamite.
Come on.
She was talking to her, her husband had passed away, and she was, like, super funny with, like, still engaging with him in front of Clay because it made Clay feel weird. And you could tell she was, like, playing up into it. Dynamite. At one point in the movie, later on, like, hour 40 mark, she rants at him. And it was like everything was solid gold that she was saying. Like everything was perfect. And it was very derogative towards him. And like, you are the worst. You're so self-centered. You only think of like what you want, or your shame is the most important thing to you. And you make it the most important thing to everybody else. Like, she was a gem. She was an absolute gift. The whole movie.
And then does he change after that? No, everybody just learns to accept him for who he is.
Like, he proposes, I guess?
No, don't even get into it. It's so gross.
Yeah, it was weird. But, she has this great moment. Great rant. Clay's aunt. Definitely my high point. Okay. This is a weird movie. This was a weird, odd movie. And we have come to the end where we say how many raised hand emojis we give it.
Please don't think that I could possibly give it more than a 0.
Yeah.
Don't just get it out of your mind.
This felt like a real 0 for you.
If there was a negative number that I could assign it, I would. If it was putting my hands in my pockets, I would. Don't watch this. Like, it's unless there's a reason to watch it. If you want to just laugh at how cringy it is, fine. That's fine. Just understand it is full of ick. It is ick defined.
Ick is a good word for this.
So I was looking up some stuff, and one of the comments on IMDb.
Oh yeah.
Because I like these. Whenever some people put these out there, we've talked about it before. Most of the ones we watch don't have additional comments. Like, some of them have like maybe 1 or 2.
Right.
But if you're, most people don't put anything. But there was a film blogger that wrote a little excerpt that got pulled in by AI or something. I don't know. But her take, or whoever it is, like this person's take on it was so, I think, spot on that I really liked it. So I kind of copied a lot of it and summed it up here from the blog. And I want to read it. But I thought it was a good summary. So here goes. Stick with me. It's kind of long. Person says, old-fashioned is right. Like, how the Taliban is old-fashioned. Behold some pretty despicable, passive-aggressive othering of women in the name of, quote, respect. This is the film being offered up as the Christian alternative to 50 Shades of Grey, which turns out to be rather appropriate for the hero of Old Fashioned, is his own sort of controlling, demanding, and is meticulously detailed about how women may and may not interact with him. Clay is simply a control freak about different things. Ultimately, Old Fashioned contends that regardless of what a woman might want out of a relationship, it's up to the man to decide what she is going to get. Love and relationships aren't a meeting of compromise between equals, but matter of male authority over women for women's own good. There are words for that, but none of them is respect. And I was like, blog, nailed it.
Yeah.
Like, that's 100% it. Because I think about my kids in a situation like that. If there was if my girls are in a relationship where no matter who they're in the relationship with, if that other person is as controlling and demanding and odd as that person, like I don't know what I'd do. It's nuts. And
it's crazy.
And we're touting him as the hero of this film. That is ick. That's gross.
Yeah.
I mean, not we.
No, I know. And this is what was so odd to me is
when you know what was odd is when Amber said, "How is it that you're still you're not married? How is it possible that you're not already married?"
Right.
Well, I've got some theories here, Amber.
It's not hard to tell. He is crazy. He is, cringy. All those words are right. What am I going to rate the movie? Here's where I was really stuck when coming to the rating of the movie. I try to stay faithful in this segment to consume the movie that is presented to me and discuss it with the audience. Here's what I have to tell you. He is the hero by character designation and screen time. He is the main character. He is the hero of the movie. His behavior is not praised by anyone. Amber sort of agrees to it by staying in the relationship, but even comments that it's crazy. Even is like, you're nuts. Here's what you're missing about dating, blah, blah, blah. So I was left at the end when Aunt Zella had her rant. I was like, this is the question I wrote down. Do I agree with the movie? Because if I have to take just what was given to me, they weren't co-signing his behavior. Now, you're going to ask the question, the viewers are going to ask a question. Why would you spend 2 hours exhaustively describing behavior you don't co-sign? I don't know. So I feel like I wrote down through gritted teeth a 2 for this because I thought to myself, one, the movie's very watchable. This is not a cringy Christian movie where, shouts out, quick sidebar, to Rob Hubbard, our production guy behind all the stuff we do here. He's amazing. I always think a little bit from his perspective.
Sorry, what was that name again?
Robert Hubbard.
Got it. Okay.
Rob Hubbard.
Just write that down.
He's the best. And I think this movie's well made. This movie's well shot. The audio is right. The stuff in there is fine. And by content, they are condemning the behavior of the main character who we are supposed to be thankful ends up in a relationship at the end. I left very confused.
Yeah.
But this is a long-winded way to say I landed at a 2 because I was like, at the end of the day, Aunt Zella's rant at the end is really good and spot on about you watched sort of that good feeling of when Joaquin Phoenix gets it at the end of Glass. When you somebody deserves something and it's that he gets yelled at by the woman in his life that he respects the most because disrespectful woman behavior is garbage. He gets that at the end of the movie. It was a wild ride. Yeah. I'm not going to watch it again.
But the fact that there's only one reason I don't think he even really respects his grandmother. That's the other problem. Aunt, whatever.
Yeah.
She's 1,000 years old. She's a grandmother. I don't think he really respects her. He kind of entertains her and listens to her. He's grateful to her for what she gave him the shop. But I don't think there's respect there. And ultimately, he doesn't listen. The only thing he does is kind of budge on this weird morality that he self-imposed.
Yeah.
He budges a little bit, and every once in a while is in the car with her, or ends up in a grocery store with her. But again, it's all on his own terms, and the film ends that way, and there's no character change on his part, and he still gets the girl, and I'm like, I don't want to reward this behavior. This isn't how life works. Shouldn't be.
I mean, and we didn't even get into the fact that he's got this big rule. He can't be in the same room. He can't be alone with a woman until his ex-girlfriend shows up, whom he welcomes into the house for what we're led to believe was just a nuzzle session that ended with him sleeping in the car and the truck outside. Yep. But he definitely lets her into the house and is alone with her. It's so bizarre. It's a lot like... It's funny we did these movies in succession because... last movie we did was Heavenly Deposit, and the main character Peter is like kind of impossible to follow the whole time, but doggone it, you like him, and or at least for me, I did.
Yeah.
And this movie was like, it was similar, but I didn't like him at all. So I don't understand why he's acting the way he is. I don't think he showed any measurable growth the whole movie, and I don't like him. So it's hard to rate a movie very highly when that's the case of the main character. All that to say, it was hard for me not to walk away and go like, but everybody's dogging him the whole time. Nobody goes, good job, Clay. You did the right thing by coming up with these insane rules. Which again, one other little feather I'll put in their cap. They don't tie it to the Bible because it's impossible to. The guy doesn't even like, they don't. They're like, oh, it's because of his faith or whatever. Like, not based on the movie. The guy's like, she's like, oh, you don't go, you go to a church somewhere? No, I don't go to church. No, I just randomly spout off a Bible verse here or there and make up crazy rules for my life. Oh, weird. 2 stars.
There you have it, folks. If you think you're unlovable as a human being, just call Anthony. No matter how weird, odd, unfriendly, controlling you are,
2
Anthony
stars.
might still give you 2 out of 5 stars.
Doggone it. Man, what a ride. Thank you for sending us Old Fashioned. We would have never known. I thought it was about the cocktail the whole time. I was waiting for how they were going to tie that in.
Waiting for a drink.
Never, ever made it.
That would have been a good idea. Yeah.
Somehow. He's drinking in a scene, too. Guys, hard to track where this man was living. Anyway.
New Philadelphia, Ohio.
City of brotherly love. Like you don't like your brothers. Kind of like that Old Testament brotherly love. We're trying to throw them in a well. And on that note, thanks for being with us today. We love watching these movies and getting your suggestions. So send them along at The Bible is Funny. That's where you can reach us. Hey, forgot to do it at the top. I'll do it now. We set a goal. This movie wasn't very good, but you know what is a good thing you can do is help kids. So if you go right now to compassion.com/
By feeding them at your best friend's house?
No.
Watch.
Please don't.
I can help kids this way.
Get your hand away from me. Compassion.com/ Bible is Funny. We're trying to sponsor 100 kids this year from Tim's homeland, Brazil.
My people.
Brazil. So Tim was born, if you missed that in a couple podcasts ago. But 100 kids from that area through Compassion. This is, you're going to support them monthly. It's going to give them food, education, clothing, all these kind of necessities to help them just thrive throughout the rest of their life. The work Compassion does is so cool. You should check it out. And if you would be so kind as to help us meet our goal of 100 kids sponsored, let us know, and we're going to shout you out here on the podcast.
And the kids get a copy of every bad movie we watch.
We made sure that was in the contract. We said, Compassion, you better give them a copy of The Masked Saint. How else will they know if we don't tell them? So, compassion.com/ Bible is Funny. Link is in the show notes.
Just Bible is Funny.
Bible is Funny.
Got it.
Thank you so much for listening. Again, send your movie suggestions at The Bible is Funny. We'll talk to you there, and we'll see you soon. Love you.
Okay, later.
The Bible